Okay, guys, so we need to talk about what has been happening with Sombr. And honestly, this situation has gotten completely out of hand. So recently, a woman named Meg went viral on TikTok for sharing her experience at a Sombr concert in DC. She is 25, bought a ticket because she liked his music, showed up expecting a normal concert, and walked into what she described as basically a middle school dance. But it wasn't just the age of the crowd that bothered her, it was what Sombr was doing on stage with that crowd. Let me show you what she said.
Hi guys, good morning, welcome back. This is gonna be a little different than my typical content, but I had one of the worst experiences of my life this weekend and it feels like a disservice to the public to not share it, so here we go. I went to go see Sombr Sunday night at the Anthem in DC. I don't really go to concerts that often unless I really love an artist. I was so excited to see this performance. By far, genuinely the worst concert I've ever been to in my life for a multitude of reasons, but I'm gonna explain to you why, if you're over the age of 16, you should not spend your money on a Sombr concert. Let me walk you through my evening. First big red flag, we get to the door, the guy checks my ID. I'm 25 years old, mind you, so is my boyfriend. The guy looks at my ID, starts quizzing me like it's a fake. He's like, "What's your zip code?" Looking me up and down. I genuinely was like, what? I say back to him like, "Oh my gosh, I'm actually so flattered, like, thank you." He chuckles a little bit and at that point gives me a wristband. And I was like, thanks. What? Like, sorry, I feel like I look like I'm in my mid-20s and my boyfriend sure as hell does. My boyfriend behind me gets quizzed the same way. Like, "What's your zip code? Where were you?" It just got worse. It just kept getting worse the more it went on. He would make like super niche references to like 13-year-olds, but then he would also say like super vulgar stuff about like getting his dick sucked. And it was like, so you know your audience is clearly 13, yet here you are. Okay. There was a moment in between songs where he literally just randomly went, "Bark for me." And you hear the arena of 13, 14, 15-year-old girls start barking. And then immediately followed up with, "Yeah, I'm daddy."
But first, who even is Sombr? Because I feel like he came out of nowhere. So Sombr, real name Shane Boos, is a 20-year-old singer from New York who dropped out of high school after his song Caroline went viral on TikTok back in 2022. He signed to Warner Records and recently had two massive hits, Back to Friends and Undressed, that blew up simultaneously. Like both songs are charting globally, he is performing at award shows. The whole thing. He makes indie pop music, very emotional, very chronically online personality, and his fan base is predominantly tweens, like 12 to 15-year-olds. Keep that in mind, because that is going to be important. So yeah, Meg shares this review, and the main thing she pointed out were he is doing this dating show bit where he brings young girls on stage to call their exes. He literally asked the crowd to bark for him and then called himself daddy. He is making vulgar sexual jokes and he is grabbing his crotch, all in front of an audience that is mostly middle schoolers. And look, that is weird. That is just objectively weird behavior when you know your audience is mostly children. So Meg posts this review, and it goes viral. She immediately starts getting harassed, hate comments, people attacking her. The whole thing, her video blows up and other people start sharing their concert experiences too. And they're all saying the same thing. His shows have gotten increasingly inappropriate. And instead of just letting it blow over, Sombr decides to respond, and oh my god, his response was so bad. He makes this video where he is like, "Oh, so a 25-year-old came to my concert and is complaining that there were too many tweens there." And the way he keeps saying 25 like it is a slur. Like he is shocked that someone who is 5 years older than him would dare attend his concert. He is out here, acting like she is ancient. "I am freshly 20, he says. Like, okay, so you just turned 20. That is still an adult. You are not 16. And here is the thing that really bothers me about this. Sombr keeps emphasizing that he is 20 and she is 25, trying to make it seem like she is too old to be there. But let's do some math real quick. The age gap between him and Meg, 5 years. The age gap between him and his predominantly tween audience, 7 to 8 years. So he has a bigger age gap with his fans than Meg has with him, but somehow she is the weird one for being there. Make it make sense. Oh, and in his response he says, "Everyone of all ages is welcome at my concerts," right after spending the entire video shaming a 25-year-old for attending. The logic isn't logic, king, but you know what he doesn't address in his response? Any of the actual concerns. Meg wasn't just complaining about the crowd being young, she was pointing out the inappropriate interactions with minors. And his response was, "Well, you body shamed me. First of all, in her 9-minute video, she made one comment comparing his dancing to Napoleon Dynamite and Slenderman. That was it, one joke. He is acting like she made a whole diss track about his appearance, just so he could deflect from the real criticism. And that is the problem. He completely ignored the creepy stuff and focused on the least important part of her video, Body shaming is wrong, obviously, but that is not the point. That is not what people are upset about. And here is what really gets me. By the time Sombr posted his response, Meg was already getting hate. She was already being harassed by his fans, by the opener's fans, by multiple fan bases attacking her. And in his video, he mentions that he has been getting body-shaming comments, but says absolutely nothing about the fact that this woman is being doxxed and harassed. He doesn't tell his fans to stop. He doesn't say, hey, leave her alone. Nothing. He had the opportunity to shut it down. And instead, he just made it worse. And speaking of his response, where is his PR team? Because this should have never been posted. Actually, wait, I need to show you something. There is a video of Sombr from before all this happened where he says this.
You know, your fans love how candid and how unfiltered you are, but now that you're blowing up the way that you are, has anyone been like, okay, you need a little more PR training?
You know, they've tried, but they can't PR train me.
They can't.
They can't.
You gotta stay true to you, man.
100%.
You do.
So he is literally proud that he is not PR trained. The irony is amazing. And honestly, this is kind of a thing with Gen Z artists now, right? Like the generation before had strict media training, publicists controlling every word, but now we've got people just posting whatever they want with zero filter. Sometimes that is refreshing, but other times, well, we get situations like this. When you are a rising artist and a fan posts a negative review, you don't respond like this, you just don't. Because now, instead of this being a TikTok that would have blown over in a week, it is turned into a full-blown controversy. Look at other Gen Z artists who faced backlash recently. Doja Cat, Taylor Chapel Road. They got criticized for having opinions or being a bit abrasive. But this is different. Sombr is being called out for actually doing creepy stuff with minors at his shows. And his response is to deflect and play victim. And you know what? This whole thing reminds me of James Charles. Not in the sense that I am saying Sombr has done what James Charles was accused of. I am not making that comparison. But the pattern of how he responds to criticism, the way he deflects, the way his fans attack anyone who speaks up. And most importantly, the way he just seems to keep getting away with everything. Yeah, that feels familiar. Because if you are James Charles, you can apparently have the most serious allegations thrown at you and your career just continues. And I am starting to wonder if Sombr thinks he is in that same position. Like, he doesn't need to actually address concerns, because nothing will stick anyway. If you're still watching, you know what to do. Subscribe. It's free, it's easy, and it quietly tells the algorithm you have taste. All right. Let's keep going. His response kind of proves that he thinks he is untouchable. The whole tone of it was, this is a skill issue. Touch grass. Very dismissive. Very, you are the problem, not me. Now, some people are saying his shows should just be 18 plus. And honestly, I completely agree. If you want to make sexual jokes, grab your crotch, ask people to bark for you, and call you daddy. Make it an 18 plus show, problem solved. But the irony is that if Sombr's shows were restricted to 18 plus, he would lose like 90% of his ticket sales. Because most of his fan base is tweens. That is who streams his music. That is who buys tickets. That is who shows up. So he is kind of stuck, right? He wants to do adult content, but he can't actually restrict his shows to adults because then he'd have no audience and no money. Which kind of proves the point that he is choosing to do inappropriate things in front of children, because that is where his income comes from. And can we talk about the parents for a second? Because who is paying for these tween tickets? Why are parents letting their 12-year-olds go to concerts unsupervised? Did they not research who their kid was going to see? I am not trying to blame parents entirely, but there is definitely a conversation to be had here. But back to Sombr's response, the way his fans reacted to Meg's video is also really telling, because any criticism was immediately met with skill issue, or you are just a hater, or you are too old. This is stan culture at its worst. Everything is either complete devotion or it is hate. There is no middle ground. You can't just be someone who likes an artist's music but didn't enjoy their concert. Meg was literally a fan. She bought a ticket. She wanted to have a good experience. And when she didn't, she shared her thoughts. That should be normal. That should be allowed. And here is another thing. People are acting like Meg shouldn't have been there in the first place because she is too old. But casual listeners are the ones who keep artists' careers alive. Not everyone who goes to a concert is a superfan who knows every lyric and every piece of lore. Some people just like a few songs and want to see a show, and that is fine. That is how the music industry works. If only hardcore stans went to concerts, these artists wouldn't be able to fill venues. Casual fans buy tickets. Casual fans stream music. Casual fans are the reason artists can tour in the first place. So punishing someone for being a casual listener, that is ridiculous. And here is what is kind of wild about how Sombr handled this by making that response video and basically telling 25-year-olds they're too old for his shows. He is literally sabotaging his own career. Like, you are limiting your audience. You are making older fans feel uncomfortable or unwelcome. You are cutting off a huge demographic of people with actual disposable income who could be buying tickets and merch. Why would you want to rely solely on the buying power of tweens, which is really just their parents' money? It makes no sense from a business perspective. He is essentially saying, I only want 12-year-olds at my shows. And it is like, bro, 12-year-olds can't even drive themselves to the venue. Why are you limiting your fan base like this? Now, I do want to address something because I know people are going to bring it up. Women do sometimes get away with similar behavior. Sabrina Carpenter, for example, has had moments at her concerts where she has done bits with minors that were questionable. There was that incident where she accidentally picked a 12-year-old for her under arrest for being too hot segment and just kept going with it instead of picking someone else. And yeah, she got some criticism for it, but nowhere near the level of scrutiny a male artist would get for the same thing. So there is a double standard there. But here is the difference. When Sabrina got called out, she didn't make a defensive video shaming the person who criticized her. She didn't weaponize her fan base. She just moved on. Sombr's response is what escalated this from weird concert experiences to full-blown controversy. Because here's what I keep coming back to. Sombr knows his audience is mostly tweens. He acknowledges it. He says in his response, "You should have expected tweens to be there." So if you know your audience is children, why are you doing this stuff? Why the bark for me bit? Why the daddy comments? Why the sexual jokes and crotch grabbing? Either you are performing for adults and you keep it adult, or you are performing for kids and you keep it appropriate. You can't have it both ways. And the fact that he seems to want it both ways is weird. It is really weird. Like, why are you so pressed about adults attending if everyone is welcome? Unless you don't want adults there, because adults are the ones who will actually call out inappropriate behavior. I am just saying it is a pattern. And the longer this goes on without him addressing it properly, the worse it is going to look, because this isn't going away. More people are sharing their concert experiences. Meg's video led to a whole wave of people confirming the same things. More people are questioning his behavior. More people are asking where his PR team is and why no one is stepping in. So what should happen now? Honestly, Sombr probably needs to put out an actual statement. Not a defensive video, but a real acknowledgement that maybe some things at his shows need to change. He should tell his fans to stop harassing people who criticize him. And he needs to either adjust his act to be appropriate for his actual audience, or make his shows 18+. Those are really the only options here. But based on everything we've seen, I don't know if that'll happen, because it seems like he thinks he can just keep getting away with it, keep doing whatever he wants because his fans will defend anything. And maybe he is right. Maybe in a few weeks everyone will forget and move on to the next controversy. But the concerns people are raising are valid, and they probably shouldn't just be brushed aside. At the end of the day, Meg just went to a concert, had a bad experience, and shared her thoughts. That is it. She didn't deserve to be doxxed. She didn't deserve to have her age weaponized against her. She didn't deserve to be the target of multiple fan bases attacking her online. And the fact that Sombr's response made all of that worse instead of better is telling. So yeah, that is the Sombr situation. It is messy, it is uncomfortable, and honestly, I don't think we've seen the end of it yet. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think his behavior is being blown out of proportion, or do you get why people are concerned? Let me know. And thanks for watching.